Getting this out right away. No April Fool's shenanigans from us on the show today. Everything you hear will be our true, genuine, authentic takes. No misleading, though we did toy with the idea of Jordan Wilson coming out of retirement, but we poured some water on that one. That was as close to funny as we got, but we decided
that's too real. That's too
so
real.
couldn't lose Jordan.
We
couldn't lose Jordan
back on the field.
That would have been just mean. So let's begin the show, ladies and gentlemen, with Major League Soccer, and we're going to begin with the positive stories first. Vanni Sartini, we all famously love him on this program. Our interactions, the interviews, they're always delightful. And just when you think Vanni's not going to surprise you with some kind of soundbite, he delivers a gem like this.
I would say it's a kind of different. The first half, guys, was like, I don't know. You know, if it would be a city, it would be Florence. This is the first half. Like, how beautiful it was. If it would be a person, would be my wife. How beautiful it was. So that's how beautiful the first half was. So that's if it would be an idea, it would be socialism. So that's how beautiful it was. That's the way that we played in the first half. So I'm really happy.
So the takeaway, Vanni Sartini, a very happy man with the way he played in the first half. This, of course, in response to their 3-2 win in a Cascadia clash against the Portland Timbers. Vanni Sartini loves a lot of things they're very beautiful, Jordan Wilson. As one of the beautiful people on this show, what did you find beautiful about the Caps' performance?
Before I get into the performance, I just want to know what happened when Vanni Sartini got home. Like, was it one of those things where his wife's looking at him like, you kind of embarrassed me? Was he in trouble before? I just had so many questions when you say that. But bless him. Such a funny guy. And you just always want to hear what he has to say at the end of a match, before a match. He is literally clickbait. This is going well for Vancouver Whitecaps. Obviously, it hasn't been perfect, but they're second in the West. This is a team that's playing positive football. You see how they attack you can see fluidity with Ali Ahmed and going to goals for even the first goal. Just the way that they're playing, finding gaps. But I think also, too, what's sticking out to me with this team is Fafa Picault. We talked about, I think the three of us, Wheels and Ollie, have agreed that they need some more attacking power. But someone like this has come into the team and has appeared 4 times and has 2 goals and 2 assists already. You need someone to break in. We were talking about the Galls and the Whites and players that we already knew that were going to be big for Vancouver. This guy has added, and I know I don't like to get caught up in the XGs and all that, the stats, but it's also nice that when you talk about minutes per goal and he's at 107. I like it for a guy who also comes off the bench. Yeah, he has started twice, but he is contributing. If this team continues to play and get shots on goal and just really play attacking football, there's something in it for them in this season, and I expect them to be making playoffs, but I also just want to see them making a run. I'm still going to put them as the best team, the best Canadian MLS team, and there's just a lot to pull from this weekend. I like Sam Adekugbe. I don't know if it's an assist, but it's definitely a contribution with him. Raposo getting him and Fafa now are tied for 2 for goal scorers, the top goal scorers for the club. But they're playing good football, playing positive football, and there's a lot to get behind. I give them an A. To grade them for sure.
And clearly, Kamal Miller was feeling the pressure. Oliver Platt launching the ball at the back of Ryan Raposo's set after he scored the goal. He wasn't in the beautiful mood that Vanni Sartini was, but the Caps 5 games now. Jordan mentioned second in the West. How are you feeling about them?
I'm feeling good. I think if the Vancouver Whitecaps were a coach, they would be Vanni Sartini because they're entertaining all the time and maybe a little bit underestimated in this league as well. It feels like watching them this season, there's been a few ups and downs. You know, they came out with an opening day draw at home against Charlotte. They lost that game at Real Salt Lake. Even this weekend's game, they had a 2-goal lead, which they gave up before then retaking the lead. So it's not all been smooth sailing and it's not all been totally consistent and positive. But at the end of it all, 10 points from 5 games, second in the Western Conference, it feels like they have another gear or 2 to go into here. And they're already sitting pretty near the top of the West. So I'm really positive about this team. I think, Ryan Gold is still Ryan Gold. There's guys from last season who have taken steps forward. Ali Ahmed, Pedro Vite, some of the younger players there. And I think a lot of people are hoping, and I certainly still am, that there might be some flexibility there to maybe add to this squad further as well and really take it over the edge. So I think you have to be feeling good about this team right now.
I get Florence. Beautiful city. I've never met his wife, Sartini's wife. I'm sure she's a beautiful woman. But socialism, he should be thanking capitalism because it allowed them to go
We
out
don't need to do
and
this.
get players like Fafa Picault and Sam Adekubi and potentially invest more. It's capitalism, baby. And the one thing that they still need, they're still punching above their weight in terms of expected goals. Like, their expected goals right now, one of the worst in the Western Conference, only just 5.7 in 5 games, and they've scored 10 goals. I mean, that's not sustainable. I think they need to continue to create more chances, might need another player in attack. So capitalism, baby. Yeah.
Let's move down the Supporters Shield standings to Toronto FC from 6th to 10th. And speaking of capitalism, Gareth, that is one expensive training and medical room at the Kia training ground at BMO Field these days. With Lorenzo Insigne, it's been announced he's going to miss 6 weeks with a hamstring. The first game in his absence, they got pummeled by Sporting KC at BMO Field by 3-1. Considering the injuries, considering the up and down, and a lot of highs to start this season, where are you right now on the Reds?
I am right where I started the season, understanding it's going to be a work in progress and much work is going to be needed to do in order to have this team reach its potential. I don't think they were pummeled by Sporting Kansas City. In the first half, they were thoroughly dominant despite giving up the best scoring chances of the game in the first half. They played some really good football. The problem is you take Insigne out of this team. You don't really have a pronounced number 9. You have Bernardeschi, who's in the top 5 in shots in Major League Soccer and only has about 6 on target. That's problematic. Their attack is toothless. And I don't think there's much they can do about that right now. Overall, in terms of the way that they utilize the field, the spacing, the commitment of the players, I think Herdman has done a really good job with this team thus far. It's hard to say otherwise, but then when you take away Insigne, Lorea, and the other players that I mentioned, it's just too big of a hill to climb when you play good teams. Now, Sporting Kansas City were without 4 or 5 starters of their own from this game. They just happen to have better and more depth than Toronto FC. So I think right now, if you're a TFC supporter, you look at the method rather than what's going on in terms of the personnel, because a lot of work still needs to be done there. And quite frankly, he's playing with a side that in terms of personnel is not quite good enough right now. But just be a little bit patient in their approach.
Ollie, further to that attack, outshot 17-12, but 10 of those 17 shots from SKC on target, only 2 from TFC. A little anemic in attack right now.
Yeah, I agree with Wheels. I thought they were decent in the first half, and the game really turned on who was going to score that first goal, which obviously put CFC in a tough position. Look, I'm far more optimistic about this team than I was at the start of the year, and there are still lots of things you can point to as concerns, worries for this team. Lorea and Insigne's layoff, obviously, the injuries in general have been a problem. Whether they have the depth to cope with those injuries, do they need a number 9 despite having several number 9s? Are any of them going to step up and be the guy that can score goals on a regular basis? And like Will said, the general attacking quality with Insigne out, is probably up for debate as well. But every game so far this season, this team has been in and they've competed and they've looked organized. And I think the football is getting better than it was in some of those road games early on in the season. And you have to be positive about that, I think, if you're a TFC fan compared to what you were watching last year. So for me, the big question, particularly with Insigne out, is around Bernardeschi. I think attitude-wise, work ethic-wise, it's been a lot better this year, but the quality hasn't necessarily followed. One assist in 6 games so far. Still a little bit of tunnel vision at times when he's in the attacking third. They really need him to step up with Insigne and Lorea out.
Jordan Wilson.
I think what's telling about this team is that there's 6 goals for and then 5 against and 3 happened this past match. It kind of says a lot, right? If you just look at those 2 numbers objectively, because you have one match, and this happens with a team that defends or predicates their game on defending well. There's a game where the goals start going in. But you're looking at this team from last season where they were just leaking goals, and now they seem like a structure. Like, give this team time, because it's not so much about going out and scoring goals for maybe TFC. It's about not losing games, like keeping things close. And it seems that is their bread and butter, and that is their mantra. So if they can get someone like a Bernardeschi stepping up, or just other players chipping in and maybe getting a goal here and a goal there, they'll definitely be a team to compete with for sure. But we have to give Luka Gavin some love. I'm watching the first half. I even watched back the highlights. Like, the first half saves, the 7 saves that he made within this match weren't just little like cover and hold. Like, these are big saves and he came up big. But then you look at the goals that were scored and you're like, oh, you wish he did better. But maybe this guy was tired because he really made this a match. Great saves, 23-year-old, a Hamilton boy as well. Top-notch keeper.
But it goes to the original, problem with roster construction, the way that it was. Like we said this a year ago, why go out and spend a lot of money on Sean Johnson when it's nothing against Sean? He's a fine goalkeeper when you have so many other holes or areas you need to improve within the squad. And the same issue remains now. And how much room they actually have to add. Like, look, your coaches can do all their work. Like, and put together the proper game plan and do everything right. If you don't have the players that can execute, then you're playing from a deficit. And that's where I just look where they are right now.
3-1 the final of Bimo Osorio in the 97th minute to break up the clean sheet, but Walter Davis and Vargas for Kansas City as they win their match. To DC United and CF Montreal, this never-ending road trip to start the season continues. For the Quebecers, it was a Pedro Santos goal in the 85th minute, despite a valiant effort away from home again. Ollie, you consider the fact that this is now 2 losses, but 5 away from Stade Saputo to start the season. How much have we learned that could possibly dissuade or inform an opinion, considering where we were at the start of the season, which was, let's see how they fare and bank as many points as they can?
Yeah, I wouldn't read too much into this game, to be honest with you. I think it was a difficult one. DC are much improved from last season. They're a high energy team, a physical team. They, I think, probably had some pent up energy in this game because they've been away from home and got some really good results. They had draws at St. Louis, Portland, and Cincinnati, but only 1 win on the season. And so it just kind of felt like one of those games where you're at home for DC United, you're playing pretty well, you haven't won a lot, you're going to take it out on someone. And to be honest, I thought Montreal did quite well just to stay in this game for as long as they did. You end up, and maybe this is the slight concern for Laurent Courtois right now, is the late goals hurt you again, as they did against Chicago last weekend. And just finding a bit more depth in the squad, finding some guys who can come off the bench. Victor Wanyama is a bit of an odd one right now. He's been an unused sub the past 2 games in a midfield that has looked like it could do with some reinforcing late in matches. So that's a bit of an eyebrow raiser. Bryce Duke, who I thought would really thrive under Courtois, hasn't played very well this season. So there's some individual situations you can look at and say are maybe a bit of a concern and leave you wondering a little bit. But overall, I still think this team is better than last season, showing signs of, implementing the style of play that Courtois wants. And it'll be about now getting through that Seattle game and getting home to Stade Saputo.